Joining us tonight, author, historian Doug Wead, former special assistant to President George H.W. Bush. Doug, great to have you with us.
Thanks, Lou.
These calls from this time from Congressman Bill Flores, Republican of Texas, asking the president's children to leave the White House in the middle of all of this. I mean, what's your reaction to that as a historian?
Before we get started, Lou, I just got to say this. I read your book, Putin's Revenge, and it was great. I haven't enjoyed a spy thriller like that since the Smiley's People trilogy of George Smiley. It was great.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's very kind.
Yeah, it's...
and you're right. Let's just talk about my book for that.
Well, you know, you've got a scene, and you've got scenes in there where you have Putin himself. Right. I didn't think that could be pulled off. That was brilliant. I've written probably 1,000 pages of memorandums to presidents of the United States. So when I read spy thrillers, I always get somewhere in the book where they, oh, that could never happen, and I can't finish it. But yours was superb. It was great.
Thank you very much. Getting back to Bill Flores and asking the president's children to leave the White House, or the president to shush them out of the White House. Your reaction?
Yeah, I think that the left for some time now has been trying to isolate the president, that was part of the Flynn thing, that they just want to keep him away from anybody else. He can't get anybody, it took a long time to get some of the people appointed he wanted, and he trusts his son-in-law and his daughter. They're brilliant, they're competent, they've proven that they are. That trip to the Middle East was superb. That was a Jared Kushner production. Ivanka's superb. And this is not unprecedented.
Even if they were mediocre,
it's all through history.
You know, even if they're mediocre, they are, you know, their support for their dad, the President of the United States. And I think it's a terrific thing. You know, you can, I guess, find points where, you know, maybe yes or no, they should have done or should not have done something. But the reality is the President has that opportunity to have the people he knows are with him, and that's his family. And I think it's important that he be able to have that in the White House.
And he's worked with them for years. They know each other. They can read each other's mind. And they are competent. And they're loyal. And they have continuity. You invest all this time with your boss when you work in the White House, and then he's out. But if you're a son or a daughter, you're going to go all the way to the end. And you know, if you tell them something, it's got staying power. So they do play a big role. That's why 18 sons served their father as president, beginning with John Adams, who appointed his 30-year-old son as minister to Prussia.
And that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, he became president.
Let's turn to this business of Feinstein today. Senator Feinstein talking about Robert Mueller, saying he won't object to public testimony by either Donald Trump Jr. or Paul Manafort. You know, that seems to me to suggest a form of exculpation. I don't believe that Mueller would check off on that if he felt that anything meaningful would be compromised by their public testimony. I think that's good news for the administration. Do you not?
I do. I'm a little troubled by the fact that it just kind of, it looks like Mueller's just following around like a little puppy dog, the national media. I'm hoping he has some independence to pursue things on his own. But I'm reminded by a quote of Napoleon. He said, you shouldn't go to battle too often with the same opponent, because they'll learn your strategies and use them against you. And the Democrats and Republicans have been so obstruction to each other that now this investigation is stumbling into things that the Democrats have done and Russian collusion on their side. So it's getting kind of touchy.
Yeah, it looks like there's far more reality to the collusion charges with the Democrats and the Russians than any Republican and any Russian.